You all, Tony Virtue speaking, Virtue and Partners, with our regular monthly update, and probably a time, a little bit of reflection as we've come through the end of the financial year. I wanted to focus a little bit this morning on just some of the trends that we're dealing with and how we should organise ourselves going forward there. Let me start with the first obvious trend, which is the Australian shares versus global shares. When I say global, I'm really talking US-based shares. What you can see from the graphs there, Australia now very much an income play. So over the last 5 years, growth of around 7% in aggregate, but 2/3 of that has come from dividends and franking credits. If I look at the global position, the US has done quite a lot better there, but about 85% of that is coming from growth, a much smaller part there for income. With the recent changes that the government's introduced at the budget, what to expect is Australia will be much more an income play. As we come now into the full year results, you'll see companies increase their dividend payout ratios. So dividends will become stronger and more important. But as far as growth goes, that really is coming from overseas. From a practical point of view, that will mean making some adjustments to portfolios, particularly the growth side, where we're looking there at a higher amount globally, a lower amount domestically there. Turning to the next area, just the real growth of passive funds, ETFs, rather than active funds. The question is, how do we manage our money? Can active managers do better than the index? And what you see from the graphs there is more and more money they're going into passive. It does reduce risk. We're looking at the moment, Mr. SpaceX at the moment, a bit up and down, but the wider indexes of the NASDAQ, the IVV, the S&P 500, still going up more generally there. So again, you'll see more and more money going into passive. If we have a very high conviction, particularly in the smaller company sector, yes, we might back a manager. And again, they may have a 5-10 year runway where they do extremely well, and then another generation comes in, and probably then we should pull back more to index there. The next thing I would talk about is of the 4.5 trillion now we have in superannuation in Australia, which is a real blessing to the country, gives us a lot of firepower to defend ourselves should we need to against adverse market conditions. Around 1/3 of that now is in people over the age of 60 who in most cases can access a super if they were to choose to. Now, what does that mean? It means that we have a big buffer there, and a lot of those are living well, they're travelling, and income streams become more and more important in a situation like that. And that, if I can say, movement or that shadow is only going to grow, and that means that that impacts on investment decisions, impacts on how we manage capital, and really that sense of certainty, retaining that capital for as long as possible, and certainly long enough for the government pension to support, becomes top of mind in what is happening there. The move of AI has now become more and more prevalent. It's becoming second nature in Australia. How do we manage that level of change where there's more automation? There needs to be guardrails so that we don't have utter chaos in what is going on, but managed well, that can improve people's quality of life. It also means, I look at the two largest companies overnight would be Apple and Nvidia, absolutely in the centre of what we're seeing with AI there now. But again, a higher level of risk with a stock-specific situation rather than following the wider indexes there. I should talk about property at the moment. The budget has impacted on the public's confidence, particularly for discretionary investments. At the moment, those who can are sitting on their hands, waiting to see how this plays out. What does that mean? If I look back over the last 40 years, we probably had 5 downturns and no more than 10% in the property market there. Combination of interest rates going up and a harder or a tougher area to make investment returns on property naturally subdues the market. Over time, things may change. There reaches a point where there is good buying. In the immediate, as we come through the winter, I think people will sit on their hands, wait and see what response there are in governments. We have a state election in Victoria in November, in New South Wales in March, and that may drive some changes. Obviously, stamp duty will come down if people aren't buying properties. And so let's just keep deep pockets and let this play out. In the meantime, they spoke about rent going up $2 a week. Well, those of you in our community know that it's a much higher number at the moment. We have 6 million Australians renting, and they're the very people who have been hurt the most by these policies. We may have a few more people being able to get into buying property at the market at the moment, but relative to the 6 million who are renting, it is a very small amount of money. So I think it's a time for reflection, a time probably for a little bit more conservatism, a time for adjusting portfolios, just to be mindful of the market dynamics that we face. The Iran situation seems to be blowing up a little bit again. So again, I think it's very much a case of steady as we go. We are very, very mindful of protecting the community's money as to where it is at the moment. At a personal level, we thank you for the referrals. They are coming in thick and fast, and we appreciate those. We will continue to run a tight ship for you. We'll use technology and AI wisely, but it will not replace our commitment to you. I look forward to seeing you all at functions soon enough. Tony Virtue, when experience pays.